So, WWE's Extreme Rules pay-per-view tonight. Let me start off with a few notes on it, I guess. Wade Barrett winning the IC title. I am sort of surprised. John Cena backs Big E Langston. The guy's a big dude. The problem is everybody's carrying him through every match. The dude needs some wrestling skills, not just be a big guy and run people over and do a few power moves. With that said, I don't mind Big E Langston. I just think he needs to gain some more wrestling skills. Bray Wyatt, once again, tells the story insanely awesomely in the ring, out of the ring. Just phenomenal talent, phenomenal. I believe he'll surpass Jake Roberts as far as ring psychology and how it goes and everything else. The match itself, a little lackluster. I mean, it could have been better, but you're working with John Cena, so it is what it is. Rusev, what do you say? He's working with a couple jobbers. It was a squash match, very quick, dominated. I want to see him in an actual match and see him do some actual moves. Again, it's another Big E Langston thing right now. I see more potential in Rusev. The guy can get off the ground. He can do some phenomenal stuff. Let's see him in a match with somebody that can perform and perform well. I'm not saying Truth and Xavier Woods can't, but for whatever reason right now, they're not on the rise. They're on the downfall. It is what it is. Personally, I never thought R-Truth was much of a wrestler to begin with. But I'm only going to even look at this for a second, and that's the Divas title. I got no love, it's no secret, for the WWE Divas. To me, they're there for just eye candy. They're not actual, very technical wrestlers. They're nothing like the women's wrestling division of 20, 30 years ago. And I'm not talking about Lita and Trish either. To me, they were a waste of space too. I'm talking about ladies like Medusa Michelli and Miss Jacqueline and, Wendy Richter and Leonie Kai and people of nowadays that can do the same thing as Tamia, Natalia, Awesome Kong, wherever she may be. Ivory was one of them. Where's Roxy from TNA? That lady was something else. But Page won, and in a miraculous, lock on of her submission hold, Tamina dominated the whole match. She carried Page through the whole dang thing, and it is what it is. Until things change, all you're going to have is eye candy and not real wrestlers, and that's that on the Divas thing. The Shield and Evolution stole the show. Absolutely stole the show. I wasn't really sure who was going to win this. It wasn't going to hurt anybody to lose. The Shield are on such a level at this point that losing matches doesn't hurt them. It's almost like they've been around for 10 to 15 years at a superstar rate. They're already at that level of, nothing can touch them as far as their in-ring ability, their out-of-ring ability, and their following. They are that strong, and they put on solid matches all the time. Um, and I mean, Rollins just never ceased to amaze me at what he comes out with. Dean Ambrose plays the freaking Psycho awesomely. And Reigns is the perfect, brute behind it all. For a while, I was kind of hoping they broke the Shield up. I'm really hoping they keep them together. I mean, the Shield works, man. It works. And a lot of times you want to see them break off and do their own thing. And this is one of those cases I really don't. It's one of those things. They can make it last. And they can keep it going. And nothing can hurt it. Great match put on. Batista was lackluster, as always. Orton and Triple H kind of carried it on the Evolution end. Ambrose and Rollins took a good brunt of the beating in the ring. For the Shield, not saying that Reigns couldn't. He just, for some reason or another, they didn't have him in it as much, but he did get the win. And on Batista, and you gotta love that. So, that was the highlight of the show. It was the savior of the show because even with Barrett winning and, a few other things, which I'll get to in a minute, the show was kind of lackluster. Cesaro, Swagger, and Van Dam. Decent match, but nothing to write home about. Cesaro's a superstar in the making. The guy's got a bright future. Anybody that doesn't think so is crazy. I mean, he is one of the future stars, like the Shield, possibly Rusev. These guys are the guys that are going to take over when the Cenas, the Ortons, the Batistas aren't around anymore or can't be around anymore. These are the guys that are going to be rolling with it. And I truly believe Cesaro is going to be at the top of that heap. But as far as the match went, take it or leave it. It wasn't a highlight match like some of his other matches. Now to the most depressing thing, it was Kane versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan always has good matches, I'll have to say, and even though this was a good match, it wasn't as impressive as some other matches. Daniel Bryan in a hardcore Extreme Rules match doesn't work for me. It doesn't let him shine where Daniel Bryan needs to shine. And where Daniel Bryan needs to shine is wrestling. Kane also is like, he's not to the point of The Undertaker, don't get me wrong, but he's aging and his matches aren't as good as they used to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, he brings it to the table and he pulls it all out and he leaves it all out there, but I mean, the guy's getting old. I just don't think the match was what it could have been. That's a personal thing, and that could go either way. Some people may love the match with the fire at the end and Kane going through the table and blah blah blah. Personally, I think Daniel Bryan excels at showing his wrestling skills, not in a hardcore match and whatever. That was Extreme Rules. Overall, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this pay-per-view a C, maybe a C plus. And the only thing saving it again was the Shield Evolution match. On a little side note, my boys at History of Wrestling spotted something I didn't, and I was watching. They spotted somebody that might have looked like Matt Morgan in the backstage area during the Kane-Daniel Bryan match. Let me touch a little base on this. I know nothing about what's going on with Matt Morgan. I'll put that out right now, and I usually keep up on that stuff. But other things have been going on in my life and whatnot, and been trying to keep up with what's relevant right now, not really caring about who's not on the scene. With that being said, Matt Morgan would fit perfectly into the WWE right now if they got him. They're lacking in big men. And WWE has always been known for having the big men. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with having stars that are small and this and that, but it's something WWE's always been known for. Andre, Big John Studd, One Man Gang, Big Boss Man, Diesel, Sid Vicious, Big Show, Kane, The Undertaker. Undertaker is waning. Kane's waning. Big Show is every year on the fence about whether he should retire. So is Kane. I'm hoping The Undertaker retires within the next match or so. Or maybe before. Who knows? So Matt Morgan would fit into that right now. Really good. And contrary to what anybody believes, I think his time in TNA did well for Matt. He needed that. His previous runs in WWE weren't very good for him because he was still very green, and at the time WWE was rushing people into the scene. And I've noticed they don't do that so much anymore. And I'm hoping that with this time under his belt with TNA has put him over that level of being green, and he can work some really good matches with some of the other people. And if it all fits, when the puzzles fit, the puzzles fit. And I'm hoping that Matt Morgan gets his shot again with the WWE, puts on some good show, and he can put on some good shows with some good people, and who knows. But that's all speculation. This was Dez, Wrestling Matters on Facebook. Check us out if you see this anywhere else. Extreme Rules, C plus at best. Wrestling Matters, I can't even spit it out. I can't even spit out. Wrestling Matters fans, history of wrestling fans, and anybody else. This was Dez coming at you live.